welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Ashley, or Ash J Styles, and today I am going to be working through my Mend It Mondays bin, starting with these jeans. Clothing alterations are the bane of my existence. That's how I ended up with this bin. This bin is full of clothes from either the mall, a thrift, or a gift, and they're all waiting for me to fix them. So that's exactly what we're doing. Welcome to my series, Mend It Mondays, where I work through my pile of clothing crimes one piece at a time. Whether it's a simple hem, a fit that almost worked, or something that just needs a full glow up, I'm not letting anything go until I give it a proper chance. This week, I'm pulling out these jeans, and we're gonna shorten them for me, obviously, but we're gonna keep the original hem. So let's get into it. So the first thing you wanna do is make sure you're wearing the shoes that you're gonna be wearing with the jeans. So make sure it's sitting at the right part of your waist as well, that it's not riding up anywhere, it's exactly where it should sit. Then you're gonna look in the mirror and mark exactly where you want the jean to end. So I'm gonna do that here. It's literally the littlest bit that I need to take off. Okay, so I'm going to show you one method of how you can hem your jeans and keep the original hemline. Typically, when we hem pants, you just fold up from the bottom, you create a new hemline with a new stitching line, nice and simple. When it comes to jeans, keeping the original hemline makes for a much more professional looking finish. Instead of folding up and having a brand new clean hem on the bottom, we can keep the original distressed look that was meant for the jeans in the first place. As we did earlier, we tried on our jeans and we marked with a safety pin where we want the length of our jeans to end. What I'm gonna do is take a piece of chalk and chalk right on that fold there. So that way I know exactly where I want the length of my jeans to end. I can take out this safety pin now, and you can see my chalked line right there. Measure this original hemline width. Mine is 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna take that measurement and I'm going to draw a chalked line right above my original chalk line, 1/2 inch. Now the reason why we're doing this is because this is going to be our stitching line. We know we want our jean length to end here. We know that our original hemline is 1/2 inch wide. So we're gonna stitch here, and this original hem is going to extend down to here to where we want our jeans to end. Hopefully that makes sense the way I explained it. So we know we're gonna stitch it here, and then here it does extend 1/2 inch just below our stitching line. So it's gonna end exactly where we want it to end. All right, so now we're gonna square out a line using our stitching line. I'm using a see-through ruler, and I can make sure that this is at a right angle. So this straight line here on my ruler is straight with the side seam of the pant leg, and I could just line it up here, and I know I have a right angle right here. If you don't have a see-through ruler, you could just use the edge of your ruler and make sure it's straight along that side seam, and then straight with your stitching line, making sure we're at a right angle at both side seams. For the tutorial that we're doing today, it is meant for jeans that are more straight from your original hemline to where your new hemline is gonna be. Hopefully I come across a pair of jeans that need a hem with more of a flare, because there is a way to do that and keep the original hemline on a flared jean, but today we are just using a straight leg jean. Okay, so using my ruler, I'm gonna chalk out a line here, and it's at a right angle here. I'm making sure as well that my ruler is just a little bit outside that original chalk line, because my chalk is a little bit thick, so I just want to make sure that I'm actually marking the correct line here. Now we're gonna take this leg here and fold it like that. So I'm just lining up my ruler with the line that I already created, and I'm just extending it a little bit over that side seam, so that way I could get the same length on the front of the jean as well. I'm gonna do the same at this side seam here, making sure it lines up, and extend it past the side seam just a bit. Now I'm gonna flip it to the front, and you can see my mark that was extended here to here, so I'm just going to match it. That's all I'm going to do, is match it. So line up the edge here, line up the edge here, and draw straight line. So sometimes with jeans and mass production, the hemline doesn't match. It's a little bit off, so you're not totally getting the correct amount on both legs. You want to make sure you're doing it the right way and you're getting the correct length from here to here to make sure you get that exact same hemline marking on your second pant leg. I'm going to show you my preferred method, and that's using the measuring tape. So I'm going to take the edge of my measuring tape and meet it up with the top edge of my waistband and bring it to the outer edge as best as possible and hold it there. With that, I'm going to follow along my side seam and check out the measurement where my chalk line is to my measuring tape. So I'm just gonna actually use my chalk and mark it on my measuring tape. Now I'm going to flip the pants over and I'm going to measure that amount, again, holding at the top of the waistband and following along my side seam until I get to my marking here. Now I'm going to chalk out that line right here, just a small little line like that. And then we're gonna do the same with the inseam, just flipping over, getting my measurement from the top of the side seam at the crotch, following along the side seam and stopping at my mark here. Mark a line on my measuring tape so I don't forget that. Flip it over, measure again from the crotch, along the side seam, and right where that line is, I'm going to chalk it out. You could shift your pant leg over just a little bit and you could see that my lines are pretty on par here. So now that I got that visual confirmation, I am going to mark a line and make these two meet, just like we did on the other pant leg. Okay, so now if we lay our jeans flat, fold up along the crotch and make it all nice and even, we could see that our hemline does match. The next step is we're going to fold the bottom of the pant leg with wrong sides together, and we're going to meet this original hemline edge to our new stitching line. See where the edge of the original hemline is here and match it to our stitching line right there. Hold it in place with a pin. You want to start with the side seams first because you always want to make sure your side seam lines match up. So that's what I'm going to do here. So again, folding and finding that edge, matching that edge to our new stitch line, our side seams match, hold it, fold it up, and pin in place. You want to do the same at the other side seam, okay? So pin all the way around. All right, so now that we're pinned up on both sides, let's go ahead and take it to the machine. If you're using a home sewing machine, you could remove the attachments to have the free arm available to wrap your pant leg around while you're sewing. I am going to be sewing on an industrial sewing machine, so I want to make sure that the other end of the hem is out of my way when I'm sewing along this hem here. Now, some other things to mention before you start sewing is you might want to swap out your presser foot for a zipper presser foot. That way you're not worrying about the uneven fabric thickness with your normal presser foot because we're going to be stitching right in between here. So you want to make sure that you're using a presser foot that is going to keep a smooth ride for you. If you do not have a presser foot, you can still use your normal presser foot. You might just want to get a little piece of cardstock and fold it over and just lay it right underneath that presser foot on the right side, so that way you have an even thickness on both sides, and that way it glides through smoothly for you. Another thing you're going to want to do before you start sewing is swap out your needle for a denim needle. That way you don't risk breaking any needles when you're sewing through your denim. All right, so let's get this started here. I am going to start sewing at the side seam. That way I could lock it in place where I pinned it, and I'm going to start with a back tack and end with a back tack. I'm starting with the side seam that has less bulk, so my other side seam is a little bit more bulky, so I just want to make sure I'm starting on the side with less bulk so that when I back tack here, I'm not going to run into any issues. So again, just making sure underneath is clear and that I'm not catching the other end of my hem here. And I'm going to start with a back tack. And sew right along at the top of the original hemline, getting as close as possible, but not catching it. Now I'm sewing through this bulky area. My machine can handle it, but if you find that your machine is struggling a little bit, you could use the hand wheel instead, just to slowly get through that bulky area, and you don't risk breaking anything or having a skipped stitch or anything like that. Hand needle always works too. Again, back tack at the end and you got a nice seam line. Repeat the same on the other pant leg. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is press your hem in place. So first press it with the hem folded up, and we're just gonna be setting in those stitches that we created into the jeans. Then we're gonna turn our hem towards the bottom, as it should be, and the excess fabric towards the top. This is what it looks like on the inside. And then we're gonna press that flat. Now you can see already that line there, it's pretty invisible, especially from a distance. You cannot really see that fold line from far away. So it just looks like that the jeans were a perfect fit for you with that original hemline. So go try on your jeans one more time. Make sure that they are at the correct length before we move on to the next step. All right, so I tried on my jeans. They're the perfect length for me. Now we're gonna take care of this excess here. For my jeans, I didn't have to hem that much because I did buy jeans that were meant for shorter people. So I only had to hem a little bit, and this is my excess that I have here. You might have jeans where you have a lot more excess because you had to hem a lot higher. So we want to take care of that excess because you don't want your toes getting caught in this when you're slipping your jeans on. So we're gonna remove the excess, finish the edge nicely, and tack it in place with a blind stitch. So first, let's check how much excess you have. When I measure mine, I'm getting just about 5/8 of an inch. That's fine. I could leave this as is and just blind stitch it in place. I don't have to finish this raw edge because I don't really have to cut off much. So if you have 5/8 of an inch or less, don't bother cutting this off. If you have more than 5/8 of excess here, you're gonna wanna reduce it down to maybe about 5/8 of an inch or half an inch. You wanna reduce it down and cut it off. So let's pretend mine extended a bit further. I would take off the amount to get it to, let's say, half an inch right here, and just mark along where the half inch is and cut along that line, and then you'd have a raw edge. With that raw edge, you could either serge it with your serging machine, or you can zigzag stitch, just finishing it off nice and clean. For my example here, there's not that much excess, so I'm not gonna be cutting this edge and finishing it with a serger. I am just going to blind stitch this in place, but be mindful that step, that extra step, you may need to take if you do have a lot more excess than I have here. Now, before you take this to your serger or your zigzag machine, you're going to want to grade down the side seam to reduce some bulk, because now that we have this hem, we have more layers on top here on this side seam. So we have the flat felled seam, the original flat felled seam, and then we kind of doubled that here by putting another flat felled seam on top, and again, another flat felled seam on top. So that's a lot of bulk to put through your machine. So you're gonna wanna reduce the bulk by cutting off this little bit here. You'll just take your scissors and just right beside the seam line, your stitching line, you're gonna cut two, but not through, to your other stitching line. And then you're gonna do the same thing here. Cut two, but not through the side seam. And then you're just gonna cut this little flat felled seam off, but don't get too close to the stitching line. You just wanna be inside like that. And that reduces the bulk right there. So that way when you fold it up, now there's not all these layers. Now do the same on your other side seam, and then you could finish off your edge. So fast forward, you have a nice clean finished edge here. Let's say you serged or you zigzagged, or you just have this folded end like I do. We're going to head over to the machine and stitch in the ditch that excess so that it is tacked in place at the side seam and it's not going anywhere. Let's go to the machine. Okay, so starting with your jeans with the right side facing up, set up your needle placement, and you can test this with the hand needle. All right, so using my hand wheel, and my presser foot is in the up position because then I can move around the fabric if I need to. I'm gonna put my needle right down into that seam. Then I know it's right in there. Then I'm gonna place my presser foot down, and I'm going to make sure I just get in right there and I stop where the excess stops as well. And again, you want to back tack at the beginning and at the end. All right, and those stitches, they're pretty invisible. Obviously you would use a color a little bit closer to the same color of your jeans, but right in there, it's hidden, and this is tacked down. It's not going anywhere. Repeat the same thing on the other side seams as well. All right, so now we wanna secure our finished edge in place. So you wanna have a hand sewing needle with a knot at the end. We're going to blind stitch all the way around. So you're gonna start at your side seam and put the needle coming from underneath and upward. That way our knot is hidden underneath our excess here. Okay, so you're just gonna feed a stitch through your side seam here. This doesn't matter too much because we already tacked it in place. If you didn't tack it in place, you could just do a whip stitch here at the side seam so that way it's secured. So you're gonna catch 1 or 2 threads from the denim and feed the needle through. And then you're going to work your needle through the seam allowance part of the denim and feed your needle through that. And this is a blind stitch. So that way your threads are not showing on the other side. You'll want to sew these stitches about 1/4 inch in length from each other and make sure you're not pulling too tight as well. So you're gonna work all the way around until you get back to the beginning. Okay, so I finally got to the end here. So what you wanna do is make a knot. So I'm just gonna slip through again that side seam, come back up, make a knot, lock it in place. I'm gonna do a second knot because that's just what I like to do. Locked in place, and then you're gonna sew underneath and pull back up. So right underneath your seam allowance, pull back up to hide that. And then you could snip this off. All right, perfect. Look how perfect that blind stitch is. You can't even see it. It ain't even there. All right, so I could turn them right side out. I got a perfect hem here. It lands exactly where I need it to. We're not seeing the blind stitches on the outside. We got my original distressed hem in place, and I'm ready to wear them now. All right, now we have jeans that are the perfect length for us. I hope this video tutorial was helpful. Thank you for joining me on my first Mend It Mondays. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.